Very smart this morning, folks. Yeah. I don't know, Anthony. Are they? I don't think so.
That's perfect. He probably doesn't even like the Kings.
So if you're just listening, what I put on is playoff start tonight. Sorry, Flames, because obviously Twos is a diehard Flames fan, and well, sorry, Flames fans, you're not in tonight. It's opening night, NHL playoffs. So welcome to Mashup 51, and then of course Anthony Murray chimes in. Oilers are going down, and then he followed it up with nope, I don't. He doesn't care for the LA Kings either. Yeah, that's fine. They're not getting taken out by the LA Kings. Sorry, folks. Oilers taking it out in the first round. Anyways, Mashup 51. Sean's excited. We were coming at you bright and early on a Monday morning. If you're tuning in regular time, don't worry about it. But if you're a live streamer, we're bright and early this morning. So if Sean's fired up, it's the morning time. And we just found out Twos is a night guy and Sean's a morning guy. So I guess we continue to differ on things. Hey, Twos?
Yeah, well, maybe we just do something at like, I don't know, 3 a.m. or 2 in the afternoon or something like that. You know, meet everybody, middle ground.
3 a.m. would be funny. The Dairy Cartel would be in love with that, wouldn't he?
Oh,
He'd
yeah.
be like, this is amazing.
I've been up for 16 hours already.
Mashup 51 brought to you by GardenGirl.ca. That's Ariel out of Regina, Saskatchewan. So her little business, we talked about this last week, won Regina Chamber of Commerce Award for New Business Venture.
Not even really a little business anymore, from what I understand.
Hey, they're across Canada. That's all I'm saying. She's expanded in new areas to develop new products, services. She started out in her garage, and in 5 years, 5 short years, she's grown to an all-year shop, greenhouse garden center with trees, shrubs, perennial seeds across Canada. In the show notes, you'll see a 15% discount. If you click on that link, you can go right to it. GardenGirl.ca, Mashup, giving you a discount. And last week, she for the year, she gave us a $100 gift card. Well, I don't know.
Which was, well, not us, but as a giveaway. And how cool is that? She was just saying, okay, well, I happen to be sponsoring on the 1-year anniversary of the Mashup. I just want to go above and beyond.
And it was cool. Did you see all the places I was rattling off that texted in?
You sent a bunch, yeah.
Okay, so people who don't follow me on Twitter, people from all over texted. We had Kinnersley, Fort St. John, Red Deer, Flatbush, which I had no idea was in Alberta. Anyways, North Lake, PEI, Cranbrook, Moose Jaw, Castor, Alberta Beach, Armstrong, Penticton, Richmond Hill, Dawson Creek, Elbow, Winnipeg, Toronto, St. Mary's, Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia. There was a few others in there. I thought listing off everywhere from Alberta got a little bit redundant, but you got the point. Mm-hmm. And the winner, drum roll, please, is Joanne from Richmond Hill, Ontario. You'll be getting a text or something along that lines from Ariel. So there you go. I thought that was pretty cool.
Congratulations.
I did it last night, and I'm like, anyways, I was having a little bit of fun. I suppose the next time we do this, we'll have to televise it or something and really draw it out.
We do it live. I think an Excel spreadsheet would be the way to go.
Okay, well,
share the screen.
The next time we do this, folks, Twos is going to have it all nice and lovely so that you can play along with us right to the front. Either way, Joanne, thanks for tuning in from Richmond Hill, Ontario. Anyways, it was. I don't know if I was more excited about how many people texted or all the areas they texted from. Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mashup 51 coming live at you. Anyways.
Thank goodness for Ariel there wasn't some guy listening in Antarctica that won it or something.
Well, I was chuckling. I'm like, we all know Vance Crow's sitting in St. Louis listening. I was waiting to see if he was going to text and be like, could she make an exception? He didn't do that. A little disappointed in Mr. Crow, but hey, what are you going to do? And Murray Cochran tossing in a good morning this morning. And what do we got here? Oops, we got Anthony. Your show is great, guys. Love it. And good morning, by the way. Yeah, good morning, everybody. This morning. Anyways, let's get her kicked off, shall we?
I say let's do it. Oh, quick side note: how cool is it with Ariel that not only in 5 years has she managed to grow her business into a place where she's got a full-time shop and everything, but also she gets to have her garage back.
Yeah, no
like
kidding.
It's just win-win-win.
All right, timer, flicking on. We got 12 today with a bonus 13, so Sean's going to say 38 minutes.
A bonus? Yeah. Is this what you're grinning like an idiot all morning for?
What do you got this morning for us, twos? Who do you think? It's opening night of the NHL. I'm sorry. The next 2 nights, this is like one of the best times of the year, folks. I don't care who you are. No matter all the shenanigans that are going on in the world, for the next, what is it, like week and a half, 10 days, 2 weeks, somewhere in there, all teams, first round, let's roll. Who you taking? I'll tell you what, to give you a little bit of time here, Sean Newman is going with the Edmonton Oilers going to face the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Final. Oilers taking it. On the opposite side, I'm going to go, wouldn't this be something? The Toronto Maple Leafs versus wild card, the New York Islanders. I know. And
everybody always wants to pick one wild card.
I know.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. I think it's just stupid. Like, if you go by the numbers,
there's
almost never any
let's hear it. And it's going to be an Edmonton-Toronto final. Edmonton-Toronto final. All Canadian final.
Go to the final.
And the Oilers taking it. And I'm going to be just insufferable on this show when they go all the
way.
Twos, who you got?
They're going to go up against either the Golden Knights or the Jets. And if they go up against the Golden Knights,
you know your playoff bracket. Yes.
And if it's going against Winnipeg, it's going to be a huge rivalry. And honestly, there's going to be like 4 teeth in the whole arena.
Dave Amiette says, "Great way to start my day. Go Oilers."
Oilers. Okay, can we block people? Can we block
F&A.
people when they say offensive things like that on the on the show? Can we
who do you got? If you could pick
Kraken, like honestly, how cool would it be? Remember what Marshawn Lynch did
Kraken?
Just
that's who you're taking. You're giving
me out. Just. Do you remember when Marshawn Lynch bought an NHL team just so that he could go joyriding in a Zamboni? Imagine how cool it would be. What would he come up with if his team won the cup? That's what I want to see. More than anything else, I think like you've actually got somebody who's having fun with being an owner, who's enjoying it, rather than just being one of those stuffy guys in the suit up top who maybe nods once or twice.
I can't believe this is what's happening right now. He's Seattle Kraken, right? Tuz is trying to derail me here because he's going to be on the links with his team. Actually, probably tomorrow, right? Like, I mean, the
too like gone. I just drove by a golf course the other day. The tarps are still on it.
You can't even. Yes.
You know what? I'm sorry. Do you want me to just go on like a 10-minute rant about how Connor McDavid is vastly overrated? Ooh, I could rhyme it.
King Bettman will never let a Canadian final happen. That's
Earl is totally right. Isn't it funny how just even over on the other side of the country, they still think the same as us when it comes to hockey? Bettman is you got to give it up, Gary. Man. Phoenix is never going to be more than a few hundred fans. I mean, remember when Atlanta...
Let's go, baby. All right. Moving on. Okay, moving on. Here we go. The cat is out of the bag for the CBC. I'll get this thing moving along.
This should have been the happy news.
Like, I mean, come on. You know, he couldn't even give me a prediction. He predicted the Seattle Kraken.
Dude,
my goodness. U.S. public broadcaster PBS has joined NPR in ditching Twitter in a spat over how the social media company labels new outlets that receive government funding from the governments. Twitter flagged NPR as a U.S. state affiliate media, a term suggesting it takes editorial direction from the government earlier this month. The badge was attached to the broadcaster's Twitter profile page and tweets sent by the account. And then you go down. There was multiple articles here, folks. I wanted to point out in 2021, 2022, the CBC received more than $1.2 billion in government funding, and a decrease from $1.4 billion the year before. And then it goes on to say the corporation, this is now CBC, so there's multiple people.
The corporation, CBC, in their own article says they receive roughly $1 billion, which is, again, like, if you want to win people over, you got to be straight with them. You cannot tweak it, right? And so when they're like,
Uh,
okay, well, yeah, it's 1.3, 1.2, 1.4, and they're like, it's roughly $1 billion.
oh my gosh, twos be crack-a-lackin'.
Crack-a-lack-a-lack.
The whole point of this here, the cat is out of the bag for the CBC, is Elon Musk has started putting here.
Appropriate. He's got a bunch of different check marks and little insignias next to Twitter accounts showing when they're affiliated with the state of whatever country they're in, or whether they're publicly funded, or pardon me, taxpayer funded, or whatever else, so that there's so that people know what they're looking at. His idea for Twitter, to hear him say it, which I think is probably fairly true given what he's been doing, is that he wants just absolute no curtains behind anybody. Everybody knows exactly where everybody stands, and they're able to determine what they think is legitimate from there. And so he's been labeling state-affiliated media in places like Russia and China for a while. And then people have been saying, and he might have had the idea, but things don't just turn over in a day in a big corporation. But people have been saying, well, you know what? CBC doesn't have a great track record for honest coverage, and they're very strongly associated.
Well, I mean, after the last couple of
giving
years,
the Liberals a pass.
None of the major ones have.
No.
So
well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, there's the $600 media bailout fund on top of the 1.2, 1.3, $1.4 billion that the CBC gets, depending on the year. And you look at it and you say, look, if, well, it was just like Byron Christopher said, the worst thing to happen to journalism, mortgages and car payments. And that's the thing. Like, if the CPC get in and Polyev makes good on his promise to defund the CBC, anybody there is probably either out of a job or taking a significant pay cut. And so no matter how unbiased you may want to be, you know that if you're ever covering Canadian politics fairly, it's probably going to result in you having to get a real job back in society or lose your house.
Yeah, and I'm just highlighting, if you're watching along, so you can see under CBC, it now says government-funded media. This is an Andrew Law.
Taxpayer-funded. Yeah. How much does CBC get from Trudeau out of his fucking pocket? I'm going to say probably not very much. It ought to say taxpayer-funded. There is a difference.
NDP, I thought you were going to go with NDP isn't a real party anymore, but he goes ND plagiarism. Here's what's going on this week in the world of the NDP. They're talking about public safety. Restoring municipal police funding and hiring more officers and support workers are at the core of Alberta NDP's plan to address the wave of crime and social disorder in Alberta's major cities. The party released its public safety plan Sunday in Calgary, its latest policy plank unveiled in the lead up to the expected May 29th provincial election, where you're going to have great mashup coverage of it that will not suck. The
mashup coverage.
Not quite like this. Anyways, the NDP are late on this issue. My wife asked me, are you guys going to be biased? And I'm like, well, yeah, a little bit. Anyways, the NDP are late on this issue. They rushed out a half-baked announcement that Notley didn't even bother attending. At their core, the NDP do not believe in this issue. Read a statement from Ellis, a former Calgary police officer and Alberta's current Minister of Public Safety. Saber said the NDP would provide funding for municipalities to hire 150 new police officers if elected. He said those officers would be paired with 150 support staff, a group that includes social workers, addiction counselors, and community outreach staff. The UCP policy on combating crime has included funding earlier this month for 100 new police officers in the Calgary and Edmonton, as well as the development of 12 Alberta sheriffs to each city's downtown on a pilot basis.
So this is just a perfect encapsulation of the NDP. So they've got multiple candidates who have either voted for in various municipal roles before this to defund the police, shared hashtags about defunding the police, or have actively campaigned against defunding the police. Murray's right on top of it. Absolutely. What a flip-flop on the defund the police slogan. This is exactly that. And the funny thing is that it's also perfect NDP at the same time. where no matter what a regular government would spend on something, the NDP is always, let's spend 50% more. So the UCP says, this is getting out of hand. We're going to hire 100 cops. And then the NDP says, on an unrelated note, we think this is getting out of hand. We're going to hire 150 cops. Right? And so, I mean, this is classic NDP. Whatever anybody else would do, they're going to spend 50% more.
Hope they don't shit on you, Bubbles.
Shit on who?
Shithogs. Big, dirty shithogs.
Just encapsulates NDP so much. Anyways, Trudeau pulls out all the stops to lighten criticism in town halls. We've probably all seen the different town halls going on across Canada. Trudeau used to hold town hall events that members of the general public could attend. His office said it has had to change the format because of new security threats. The setup, the tour, the Prime Minister's office reached out to specific special interest groups such as unions, universities, and businesses asking if they'd like to host town halls. Some attendees said it forces people to be respectful because they're in professional settings that often links to their workplace. And then Christina Brock was quoted as, "We were told that we can ask questions and feel free to ask some hard questions, but to be respectful. The groups who organize the town halls are responsible for the guest list, but must keep the events under wraps. It's a way to get under security risks without vetting each member of the audience. We had to keep it secret and be cautious with who we invited," Brock said. Most people who are invited don't even know who the speaker is. It's just a high-ranking government official.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say you're walking down the street, Sean, and you bump into Justin Trudeau. Now, assuming it could actually happen, because there's that other picture that's on here too, where he's just being surrounded on every side by just an absolute plethora of armed guards. But let's say you're just walking down the street and you bump into Justin Trudeau, and you got just a quick little second to be like, "Hey, you know what? I want to say something to him." What do you say right off the top of your head?
What do I say to Justin Trudeau?
Exactly. You waffle for a minute. You don't come now. Now, if you said next week you're going to sit down with Justin Trudeau for an hour and you're going to talk to him on your show, you would show up prepared. This is it. This isn't just about the security thing. This is, oh shit, Justin Trudeau's here. Or he's right next to the office, or he's right next to the shop floor. Oh shit. Well, what am I going to say to him? What am I going to say to him? And then you might come up with something half-assed. But if you actually knew that next week Justin Trudeau was going to be standing by the CNC machine, you'd be like, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to ask him about this specific thing." And so it's soft playing into having people show up unprepared because they don't even know Trudeau is going to be there. And that's the funny thing is, first of all, the only way you can get people in the door is if you don't tell them that the Prime Minister is going to be there. Like, because here's like, if my job depended on me sitting respectfully at a town hall for Justin Trudeau, it would either start the morning off with, "Honey, it's going to be a rough day at work. I'm probably going to be brushing up on my resume," or it would just be like, "I've got COVID. I can't go in today." Like every time Trudeau faces a tough day, right? And I imagine that there's a lot of people who would say the same thing. You look at all of these town halls where people look bored as fuck or borderline angry. There was that one dude we talked about a couple weeks ago who wouldn't even look up. He was just like this the whole time, standing behind him.
The construction worker.
Yep. And if he keeps doing these and people actually know ahead of time, he always skips Alberta, Murray. He always skips Alberta.
Murray said Trudeau skipped Alberta, and yes, everything he does is anyways.
Well, whenever he comes to Alberta or Saskatchewan, he basically just lets people know as he's flying out that he's been there, because if he gives people a minute to get organized, it's going to be bad for him. And this is the same thing. These town halls, people don't even know it's going to be him until they show up and he's there. And if they let him know ahead of time, how many times do you think would happen before every single person on some shop floor called in sick and they had to, and somebody was going to be there with the camera just recording him in an empty room being like, "Well, what the fuck, guys?"
Bud Light's a fire under its market cap. Well, I think this has been talk amongst everyone lately. The scandal with Bud Light. Anyways, we never intended. Here's quotes. We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides. And actually, while I do this, I'm going to bring up the actual. This was what they put out. We never intended to be a part of the discussion that divides people, said Anheuser Busch CEO Brendan Whitworth in a carefully crafted, heavily focused group press release, which failed to mention Mulvaney, Bud Light, or transgender issues. We are in, and then quoted again, we are in the business of bringing people together over a beer. This article you shared was interesting, too, as I enjoyed it. But anyways,
it's a whole page of absolutely nothing. It doesn't say a damn thing in that whole statement. It's like Trudeau wrote it himself.
This is the media response. I'm going to keep going here. What were we thinking? Or what were they thinking? Apologies. This is one of the articles. How did someone believe that making trans women Dylan Mulvaney the icon of Bud Light ad campaign, complete with a beer can with Mulvaney's image on it, would be good for sales, with an ad featuring this person vamping around in the most preposterously possible ways? Dylan, who had previously been interviewed on trans issues by President Biden. I didn't realize that, but anyways, was celebrating 365 days of girlhood with a grotesquely misogynistic caricature that would be discussed just about the whole market for this beer. Indeed, this person's cosplay might as well be designed to discredit the entire political agenda of gender dysphoric. Sure enough, because we don't have mandates on what beers you must buy, sales of the beer plummeted.
Have plummeted.
The parent company Anheuser-Busch stock lost $5 billion or 4% in value since the ad campaign rollout, and sales have fallen between 50 to 70% of Bud Light. There you go.
Yeah. So just imagine that you made a decision in the workplace and it cost your boss $5 billion. Yeah, so there's some great memes going around.
Yeah,
and
so
pictures like that, right?
Once again, for the people listening, we've got Twitter pulled up, and Bud Light put out. Thank God it's Friday, with a picture of the standard Bud Light can. But then it's the comments afterwards. They just get to be interesting. This one in particular was quite creative. We're talking about the shop teacher from where was this
somewhere in
from?
Ontario.
Yeah, with the big prosthetics is on the can.
No, he said they're real.
Did he say they're real?
He said they're real. Remember, because he was going to get his job back. All he had to do was just prove that those tits didn't come off. We talked about this, but
this one was also good. I thought this was great.
The classic Mrs. Garrison storyline from South Park. We basically live in an episode of South Park right now,
man.
And so, I think it's funny how disengaged these corporate marketing suits are from so many people that they're trying to appease to, because I can't think of any worse way that you could try to appeal to their presumable market target demographic of just regular, everyday, blue-collar, hardworking folks by making their spokesperson a vapid idiot who says a bunch of gaily, like in the happy sense, but whatever, intoned stuff on TikTok. Like, soft hands, not had a real job. If you want to get a good spokesperson for Bud or for Bud Light, you go to some welding shop in fucking Ohio and you get some 50-year-old guy and you show him working all day long, and then at the end of the day, he's dirty as hell and he's got his greasy hands and he pulls a can of Bud out of the fridge and he drinks it. That's how you actually recapture that market cap. That's how you get to understand the people in your demographic. You don't do this vapid bullshit. And it's good for them for having to learn a hard lesson.
I wish I had a beer company right now, because I feel like you could do like exactly what you just said, and all of a sudden you just have people flocking to you like nobody's business. It's a huge opportunity for somebody in the beer market to just be like,
here's your marketing strategy. It's just, look, we don't worry about having vapid, empty vessel people. We don't worry about social causes. All we care about is just making a good beer, right? It's probably Far Brewery is kind of like that in some sense, where they just kind of keep it simple to just a few specific beers that they do really, really well. Steam Whistle, like their slogan is, "We have one thing we do really well," and wouldn't it be cool if a beer company focused their time and efforts not on going into TikTok, but more on just making the best product possible?
Yeah, that might be something too. It's mind-boggling, but hey, what are you going to do? I I just there's been a lot of funny things come out since they announced it and everything else. There's a whole bunch of people commenting. So you got the Love the Kid Rock video. That's where Kid Rock goes and shoots all the cans. You got Earl Whaley correcting, well, not correcting us, informing Oakville. Oakville is where the teacher was out of. And then Dave said the CEO has to go. Anyways, the people.
It's actually a dude who's the CEO. It was the woman who was the marketing manager or director or something like that.
Okay, well, there you go.
But his point stands. I mean, she just cost her company $5 billion. It's going to be hard to keep your job after that.
Staging your home is racist. Actually, this one was, you had two different ones. You had one where a couple staged their home, got an offer, got it appraised, and thought it was low. Then took all the black.
They didn't stage their home. They just said, "Come on in, take a look at it," and then the appraisal was lower than what they were expecting it to be, and so then they took out all of the personal things from the house, and got a bunch of. They just tried to make it as good as possible and as generically appealing as possible. And then it got appraised at a higher value. And so because the family was black, now that means that it's racism.
They in that article, though, they had their neighbor come and sit in the showing and acted like it was her home. Did you read that?
Mm-hmm. That doesn't necessarily, like, it's a post hoc ergo propter hoc, right? Just because that happened doesn't mean that it affected things. And just because one thing happens before another doesn't mean that they're related. I would argue, and I think most people would agree, that when you are setting a home up to try and sell it, you want to make it as broadly appealing as possible. And so you take out as much personal things as you can, and you insert just generic, happy, blah, bullshit stuff. And that's what they did in the second go around of it, and then it got appraised at a higher value.
True. The second article you shared was interesting, this is what it said. A Florida State University criminology professor abruptly left his $190,000 a year position following allegation that he fudged data on racism studies during his 16-year tenure. Eric Stewart, who had 6 of his studies retracted, has been absent from the college since mid-March after a new investigation over his work renewed scrutiny over claims that he fabricated data, altering sample size to make results appear more racist. And it goes on and on and on. But he basically...
With some good notes on exactly where it happened and how it happened.
Yeah, like adding in sample size and change...
At the 11th hour, like right before publication, he just quadruples the data size, without anything backing it up. And yeah, it appears as though everything's pretty made up. And the fact that he didn't push back, because here's the thing, like he's had 6 of his studies actually pulled. So 6 published studies that he had released have now been pulled. And if there was some validity there, he would be able to say, like, you've got just a stack of notes and everything like that. You've got all the backing up data, and it shouldn't be very hard for him to show exactly where this all came together. And if you've got a $190,000 a year job and it's being threatened because someone's questioning your integrity, you push back. You don't just be like, "Oh yeah, you got me, I'm out."
Yeah. And there's the picture of the man they're talking about that had fabricated things. Anyways,
is that why the hell is our prime minister working in a university?
Oh boy, folks. Here we are, full of piss and vinegar in the morning. Okay. Homeschooled children increasingly missing out on formative experiences. Here, let's add this in. Now you can see what we're talking about. A staggering 6 female teachers in the United States have been arrested in just 2 days for allegedly having sex with students.
You know, the funny thing is, I'm surprised that no cops anywhere have tried to go 21 Jump Street on this.
Elaborate?
Well, okay, so in the movie, and in the original with Johnny Depp,
Yeah,
as
they
well,
go into they put undercovers
in the schools to try and bust the criminals. Like, you think about it, like this kind of chicanery never happened when I was in school. I assume it didn't when you were in school either. And so you'd have these cops who were probably roughly the same age as us, maybe a little bit younger, who'd just be like, well, you know what? We really need to bust these police or these teachers who are having sex with young men. And so they would go in there and just, the how do you do, fellow kids, pretend to be high school students and see if they can, freeze, I'm a cop. Yep.
Oh, man.
Again, we live in a South Park episode. This was the whole thing about when Kyle's kindergarten teacher was sleeping with him, and she all thought that they were in love. And then when Kyle tries to go to the cops about it, they're like, oh, what are we going to do? Go give him the whole luckiest boy in the universe award? And then, oh, which teacher is it? Oh, it's blah, 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 the kindergarten teacher. And they're like, nice. Right?
South Park. There's one show that I love and hate all at the same time. Like I was never the giant South Park guy who watched it all the time. But then I had friends who you got to watch this episode. You got to watch this episode. And man, at times
and then
they just hit the nail on
everything
the
keeps
head.
coming true. I mean, you had that episode where that guy who looks just like Macho Man Randy Savage decides he's a woman and goes into these events and just absolutely obliterates the women. And then, he's being interviewed beforehand. Like, got full on, like, he's just Macho Man Randy Savage is what he is. Absolutely. Right. And he's being interviewed. And then at the end of the interview, dude's like, okay, well, good luck out there tonight. And he's like, luck is for dudes.
The people pulling back the curtain are the bad guys. Okay, here we go. The head of the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation and its board of directors resigned Tuesday, citing political backlash that followed a revelation that the true benefactor behind a large financial gift from Beijing billionaire was the Chinese government. The foundation announced in early March that it planned to return $140,000 to the wealthy Chinese donor after the Globe and Mail reported that the contribution was part of a Beijing-directed influence operation to curry favor with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The foundation is backed by a $125 million government endowment. It was set up in 2002 under former Liberal Prime Minister Jean Chrétien. It provides scholarships, academic fellowship, and leadership programs, is what it's supposed to do. Anyways.
Okay, so the funny thing is that these guys aren't resigning because they just found out about it. We've been talking about this for years. Everybody's known about this for a decade. Do you remember I had a throwaway joke when we did that stand-up night with Quick Dick McDick? I had a throwaway joke about the Trudeau Foundation. I almost left it on the cutting room floor because I was like, it's not even funny anymore. We've talked about this to death, but I just kept it in because it rhymed. But that's the thing. Like this stuff is so old that it's almost beyond talking about. And yet it's now gotten to the point where they all quit. The whole board bailed. Not because they just found out about it, because if some random asshole makes a joke about it in Lloydminster that he barely keeps into the role because it's so old that it's almost not even worth talking about anymore, they knew about it too. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I enjoyed this tweet right here. This is some revelations. This is David Jacobs. He said the Trudeau Foundation board knew the donation was both irregular and from the CCP. Trudeau's office ran interference for the foundation in emails shared today. And then 3, there's nothing independent about the foundation's independent investigation. I think think we've talked about all of this.
He's got the screenshots to show it, right? And so everybody's got all of this corroborating data that's backing all of this up, going back years, and none of it just got released. This isn't part of the whole CSIS thing where stuff just got leaked now. This is old news. And the only reason why anybody's bailing is because they got
caught.
Again, another South Park episode. This is just like with all the sexual deviants that are celebrities that had to go to a special remedial course and learn how to do all the same stuff that they were doing before, but without getting caught.
Mark Ruffalo is an idiot. I
That
feel
is
like
correct.
I feel like we've been here before. Of course, we're oh, Mark. The BC Energy Regulator is investigating after Coastal GasLink reported 2 spills of clay lubricant while it was tunneling under the Morris River to build a natural gas pipeline through northern British Columbia. And then Mark Ruffalo on Twitter had said, like every other pipeline, they say they won't spill, and they always do. RBC is responsible because they're the ones funding these antiquated things. The most pristine river in the northern hemisphere on sovereign First Nations land has been fouled.
Okay, first off, I have never seen anything corroborating that final statement. You might say it's one of, you might say it's a really good one, but to just unequivocally say it's the best river in the whole fucking top half of the planet seems a little bit sketchy. All right. Now, the other thing is, Sean, just imagine a car being manufactured. All right. It's at some plant in Oakville, say. And somebody at that plant
is the big prosthetic boobs there, or am I not?
Just it could be a coincidence, or this could be part of the issue on the floor, right?
Okay,
But this car is being assembled, and they're putting together the gas tank. Okay, and then they I don't know, his big stinking boobs get in the way, and he accidentally rips a hole in the gas tank. How much gas spills out?
While they're building it?
Yep.
0. I don't know why you would manufacture it with fuel in it. That's just me.
Exactly. So Mark Ruffalo is talking about this like it's a fucking oil spill while it's during the construction of the pipeline. Okay. And here's the other thing. So this is a clay lubricant, it's called. Okay. And it's about.
Could I just hold you for 1 second and realize that it's not even going to ship oil? It's going to ship natural gas. It's a natural gas pipeline.
Yes.
So even if it, at the end of the day, anyways, carry on.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's the thing is the actual article talks about it being a clay lubricant, and it's worried about the turbidity of this clay lubricant in the water. Okay. Now, for anybody who knows what this is, it is about 4% bentonite, and that's what makes it the clay lubricant. Do you know what bentonite is used for, Sean?
No, and just to the listener, Two's mentioned bentonite before we started. I'm like, what did I miss? And he's just smiling and cackling himself. Okay, tell me what bentonite. No, fire away.
Okay, so it's got some good properties when it's used as part of the drilling mud in any sort of a drilling process. It's quite often used. Yes, absolutely. It's bentonite slurry, right? It's quite often used actually when you're drilling water wells too. Okay, because it's just clay. And so the other 2 main uses for it are beauty products. When you get those masks that people put on and it stays on there for a while, and then you scrub it off and they're all beautiful afterwards. And the other thing you use for is to remove turbidity from brewing products. When you're making a batch of beer, it doesn't work for shit in beer for some reason, but people in wine love it. I've never made a batch of wine before. But the idea is that when suspended in a slurry, its molecules are negatively charged, and then the proteins are positively charged, and they attract to each other. And when they attract to each other, they fall out of the solution. And then you've got all your shit at the bottom that you can just get everything on top of and leave that. Okay. Here's the problem with bentonite, though, is it fucking sucks for that because it doesn't remain suspended nearly long enough. You put this in a batch of beer and it's all in the bottom of your carboy in like 12 hours at best. The only way it actually stops anything is if it hits it on the way down and pins it to the bottom. Okay. This stuff does not remain suspended. The turbidity of it is non-fucking existent. It needs to be constantly in extreme motion to even do a damn thing. And yet, for some reason, you've got these people who live these idiot lives where all they worry about is being pretty and not being actual journalists, and they don't know a fucking thing about bentonite? Come on.
You know what we're going to do here, folks? We're going to have a little bit of fun.
We like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind. It's
Yeah.
more inclusive.
There we go. Exactly. Yes, thank you.
And the budget will balance itself.
Man, you are one pathetic
loser.
No offense.
No offense.
Okay,
That song never gets old.
no, it doesn't. And can you believe that that's two young girls from BC who helped fund making of? Anyways, great. I can't wait to buy.
Armstrong.
I can't wait to. We're making a road trip there at some point too. Is we're gonna go buy some ice cream sandwiches. Anyways, that's just side note.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be like, oh, where are you guys going? Oh, we came here. Now we're just driving back.
Should we let the Liberals take control of our oil?
I mean, how did it go last time, right?
In the Trudeau government looking to rip up the Constitution of Canada on the issue of natural resources like Alberta oil, Quebec timber, or Ontario mining deposits, based on a few brief words made by Justin Trudeau's Justice Minister, David Lametti, the answer is yes. Lametti was speaking to a meeting of Assembly of First Nations held in Ottawa last week when two different chiefs from two different parts of the country asked him to take away provincial responsibility for natural resources. He where the heck did I put it? Ah, well.
I'll tell you where to put it.
He said he'd look into it, essentially.
Yeah, which is exactly what Pierre Poilievre said. And then David Lametti came back to him and he said, at no point did I say this. And then the Conservative Party was like, well, here's the video of you saying that.
Yeah.
And then they posted the quick little clip of him saying exactly that. And so in David Lametti's very limited defense, the Liberals have this thing where they can't, it doesn't necessarily mean shutting down. It could mean just taking control of it and going straight Venezuela national energy program. But
sorry, if you're not watching, Murray had chimed in saying control means shutting down.
Okay. So David Lametti is up there speaking alongside a bunch of First Nations chiefs. And the Liberals do two things when it comes to the First Nations. One, whenever it's near election time, they tell everybody that they've been mistaken for the past 3 or 4 years and they haven't been ignoring them the whole time. It's been a huge thing that they care about and worry about. And it's not just been a hiring spree in a suburb of Toronto or on Ottawa at the very end. It's not just the Gatineau people who are paid to never fix anything. They actually care this whole time. The second thing they do when it comes to the First Nations is they never, ever, ever want to be even challenging them, let alone contradicting them. And so these two chiefs, in a couple different ways, had asked about taking away the provincial control of natural resources. And so Lametti says, okay, well, I can't ever disagree with them. So I'm going to get up here and say, yes,
I will look into it.
And does he intend to look into it? I would say probably not, but he can't ever be seen as challenging, let alone contradicting them. And so he's got to go ahead and go along with whatever was said beforehand. And it puts him in a neat little catch-22.
Union tragedy. Picket line Zoom call deemed to be ineffective. Although many public servants want to work from home, they will not be able to strike from home, the Public Service Alliance of Canada says. Oh, man. I wish I was making that up. Anyways.
Yeah. So they said we need to strike because we don't want to actually go into work anymore. We want to get paid to work from home, which, you know what? If there's enough accountability to ensure that your output keeps coming, perfect, right? But then it turns out that they've actually got to start showing up to work to do the strike. And they're pissed because of it. Because not only do they want to work from home, but they want to be able to strike from home. As if they're just going to be walking around their living room with a sign trying to get people to honk at them.
This is quoted. Strikes have always depended on their ground game. So this means physical picket lines across the country, said Michael Aubry, PSAC's Assistant Director of Communications. Everyone has to show up to picket line to be considered as striking. There will be no virtual picketing from home. I wish I was making this up.
It's funny. The other thing they do is the picketing is an attempt to shame people into what they call scabbing, right? When your union's on strike, but you just go into work anyway, because they want the solidarity of nobody going there. And you might have remembered I said that back in the day I was part of a union for a while, and I was really frustrated with it, and they're like, okay, but it was getting kind of close to the end of the contract. It's like, well, we're going to strike, aren't we? And I'm like, fuck no. And everybody's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, these guys are idiots. None of the stuff they're supposed to do, they actually do. They don't care about the even basic entry level shit that they're supposed to be taken care of. And rather than trying to do the thing, because they used to try and sneak people in the back door when there was a strike going on, I was like, I'm going to walk right through the middle of that picket line, and if anybody challenges me, I'm going to tell them exactly why I'm walking in.
Oh man, I just virtual picketing twos, virtual picketing. Like, anyways,
Like,
Yeah.
what are you just gonna have, like ad banners at the top of newspapers and the side of Twitter? just have some guy sitting there saying nothing on, just kind of, you see him just randomly clicking stuff, but he's holding up a sign saying "Hold the line"
in his boxers.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
just like eating a box of cereal in front of the webcam. These union people are not serious people, Sean.
oh man, consumption sites aren't safe for everyone. Okay, we got multiple places here we're going to try and get through. So, Fabricland store in Red Deer, I believe, is leaving the rail yards location this summer in search of a new location. Quoted, "We're all upset because we all work here. We love our job. We just don't like working in the location." That was Holly Prux, manager of Fabricland Red Deer. Myself and my assistant manager, we've been here for 10 years and 10 and a half years with the company. We don't want to go anywhere, but now we're left with no choice. We have to move. The announcement was made public on April 1st. After their closing date will be June 22nd, following the completion of the lease. The store has faced numerous challenges since the opening of the overdose prevention site across the street in 2018 and the temporary shelter in their connecting unit during the pandemic. She said that customers ranging from high school students to older individuals are consistently panhandled in the parking lot at the front entrance, requiring a security guard to escort their customers back to their vehicles. She says they have also experienced increase in thefts with the store and needle drug use on their entrance staircase. And then
imagine how bad it is that a sewing place needs to speak up about how many needles are being used.
Oh man!
And then there's the same thing in Chicago with the Walmart.
Portland has Walmart is closing down 4 stores, 2 locations in Oregon, and now 4 stores in Chicago, citing danger essentially and drug use. And then one of the largest supermarkets in downtown San Fran, the Whole Foods Market at 8th and Market Street, is shutting down at the just after a year it opened. And the company
that's going to leave a hole.
This company cited deteriorating street conditions around drug use and crime near the grocery store as a reason for its closure. Yeah. So yeah.
Here's the thing that the left never really gets to understand, and it's literally basic economics with Thomas Sowell, is that there's no free lunch on any of this stuff. It's always about trade-offs. And so even though they want to talk about the positive impact of, they say, okay, well, you know what, there's such great success rates with these safe consumption sites, and the usage has gone up so much and whatever else. Okay, first off, that's a bad thing. Secondly, like, if they were doing their job, eventually they wouldn't exist anymore, right? Like, if the safe consumption sites actually led to people leaving better lives where they weren't addicted to drugs, eventually the safe consumption sites would close because they had been successful in their project of getting rid of this stuff, and there would be no more people using drugs, therefore nobody else using the safe consumption sites. The fact that they keep going up means that their success is probably antithetical to their stated purpose, right? It's like the NDP. They love to play themselves as being the party for the downtrodden and the marginalized and everything like that, right? But there's also an incentive for parties to make their their support base as big as possible. So the Conservatives want people to be affluent and successful and business owners and job creators. And the NDP, well, do you think it's a coincidence that anytime they're in charge, everybody's fucking poor afterwards?
Yeah, thankfully, I've never had any issues with hard drugs, right? Like, I mean, thankfully. I do enjoy the odd beverage, and I just can't imagine if they had safe consumption sites for alcoholics. I mean,
You mean bars?
bars, but you have to pay for it, dudes.
You do have to pay for it.
Like, can you imagine?
Oh, you mean like where you could just show up and drink all you want for free?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'd all stop being functional members of society. That would be awesome. It'd be great.
No,
We'd do the Mashup live there all the time.
it'd be terrible. Anyways,
Absolutely. I'm being a little.
I know you. I know. I'm just like I don't.
Okay.
I don't get it. I just
But here's
don't
the
get
thing:
it.
is there's always the trade-offs, right? So you might be able to say, okay, even if we could follow along your argument that the safe consumption sites are successful, which the fact that their usage goes up implies that they aren't, but just say that they are, and there's been some positive outcomes. There's always a negative outcome on the other side, and this is that negative outcome rearing its ugly head. Okay, the crime goes up, the stores leave, all of this stuff happens like that.
Well, you just
Person
walk.
who owns that building, good luck renting it out to anything except for a homeless shelter. And if it becomes a homeless shelter, after 10 years, they're going to have to just burn the fucker down.
Yeah, and Murray's saying should be treatment centers, not safe consumption sites. That's a Danielle Smith thing, right? That's essentially what she's talking about, right? Trying to get people help, not through more drug use, but
not through enabling them.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, that's thankfully that has not been an issue of Sean's.
Yes.
Hopefully never. Anyways,
just don't try heroin.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, you walk. I've been going to Calgary on and off now all my life, and you go downtown there. It's a strange land now. It's like you're like, this is strange.
I moved out of there a year and a half ago, and it was bad even before. Like, I remember I had to go downtown a fair bit, and that whole 8th and 8th area with the crack max. You're just like, though, you've got a whole block that smells like garbage. You got a park that's always full of homeless people, and the whole thing is just sketchy as hell. Like in the middle of the afternoon, if you were there in the middle of the afternoon, you're like, this place is sketchy. I don't even want to be walking by here anytime after 4 p.m. Imagine what happens in the middle of the night.
Well, let's go on to some happy news, shall we?
Happy news for people who aren't addicted to crack. Yes.
That's right. Woman battles crocodile with a stick. I didn't know crocodiles used sticks.
I thought this was great. Like, every once in a while you see these articles where they kind of screw up the wording and it ends up being ambiguous. The crocodile had a stick, apparently, right?
So, here we got two. Ban Singh, 26, had gone to the river to get water for his goats when a crocodile attacked him and grabbed his leg. His wife, Vamil Meena, was nearby and immediately sprang into action. She used a large stick to hit the crocodile in hopes it would free her husband. Look at the size of this. Like, is that the actual crocodile, or did they just, like, pick one out of a photo library? Because I looked at that thing and I'm like, holy crap.
I'm guessing it's just a generic stock photo of a crocodile. Because
you mean the journalist didn't track down the croc?
Exactly, and then just be like, well, just
put the biggest, meanest looking thing on the internet and away we go. Because that thing gets a hold of you. I don't think anything's stopping it. Yeah, that's right. Anyways, so she used a large stick, finally hit it, but finally started dragging her husband deeper in the water. And then she targeted the crocodile's eye. It finally released its grip on her husband. In a couple of days, a couple was able to make it back to safety. He says he's going to make a full recovery. And then here was the other one you had, and I'll just right there. It says
the headline.
Oh, sorry. Headline first. Sorry. Twos. Here we go. Dad loses 80 pounds to become a kidney donor for his son.
How big was that kidney, Sean?
there's the son and his dad, and here's the two of them playing hockey. It said 16-year-old Hunter was diagnosed with stage 5 kidney disease in 2020. His kidney was operating at 16%. His father, Daniel, was a blood type match, but there was one problem. He was overweight. He was at the time 275 pounds, and he needed to get down to 200 pounds in order to be eligible to be a kidney donor. He did that, and of course, now they're scheduled for the surgery and everything else.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool because, not that just giving away a kidney isn't a big deal on its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then to just be like, okay, well, you know what? To even qualify for this, you need to put months. Like that was probably it was probably quite a bit to just drop 80 pounds, and then to know that you're looking down a clock on it, and that, yeah, like just the amount of fortitude that went into that, I think that's pretty cool. Circling back to the
you want the crocodile? Is that where
the crocodile for a minute? There's not much background, and I feel like that was probably that guy's something stronger than a cry for help. I don't think he wanted to get back from the river when that happened, and I don't know what's going on, but I feel like he was trying to plan an exit there. Like, you're going to crocodile infested waters to feed your goats or to water your goats. Okay. Now the crocs could jump out at any point. Fair enough. Okay. Now, if only you could bring some kind of an animal with you that crocodiles would see more eatable than you.
Yeah, but that's
right.
That's his money.
Like
that's his livelihood. You can't be losing a goat.
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
What type of shepherd would you be?
Well, you become pretty ineffectual as a shepherd if you got eaten by a crocodile. Whereas if you give up one goat, you've still got the rest of the flock, right? I think he was trying to bail out because his wife was nagging him all the time or something like that. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh no, I'm being eaten by a crocodile. And then she was like, you're not getting out that easy. And goes and beats the crocodile to death. Yeah. I feel like there's probably something more going on there.
Oh my goodness.
It just seems a little bit too, yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for Mashup 51. Mm-hmm. We got election coverage assuming May 29th too. You want to talk about that for a couple seconds here?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a few names lined up already.
Who do we have lined up?
Well, we've got Tarek Alnaga, who's going to be coming on talking about Calgary. We got Chris Sims coming on. We're going to go to Shane Getson at some point during the evening. And he's going to be having his own party. We're looking at having people in both election headquarters. I don't even know who we just talked to about the NDP for that, but they can trust us to be fair and balanced, which sadly for the NDP generally means looking at them fairly critically. But we'd like to have somebody there if at all possible.
Yeah, it'd be May 29th.
No, it's not we think. It's not we think. Why does it say we think?
No. May 20, because it's not scheduled for May 29th just yet. So I put the we think at the end. Tuesday Mashup election coverage is happening, folks. We just don't know about the date just yet. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, until they announce.
All right. That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. So Tuesday Mashup election coverage.
We're figuring out the technical side of it.
Yes.
And it's slated to be, this is probably going to be the coolest thing you're going to watch on the internet for a while.
Do you recognize this name too? Mark Doran on Twitter? That's coming in from Murray Cochran. We'll take a look.
All right. Mark Doran.
Anyways, election coverage, yes, May 29th, we think. And it should be an interesting little go. We're going to try and have a little bit of fun with it. It will be live. We will be doing it for, an extended time, a little bit before ballots finish coming in, and certainly after ballots coming in. We're going to try and have both headquarters. We got different people coming in from the province that are going to be joining in. We'll be announcing some more names as we get closer to May 29th.
For example, like we haven't talked to Nick Von Dubs about it yet, but he's going to be helping us out with some Edmonton stuff that night.
If you're
but we haven't talked to him about it yet.
Yeah. We're going to get on that because wouldn't Nick strolling around his Canadian tuxedo be just fantastic?
What a fucking beauty.
Anyways.
Honestly, just try to quit that, Eric.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Like, opening day, folks. Opening day. Playoffs tonight.
Yep. Yeah, it should be pretty fun. This is why we had to do it first thing in the morning. Sean was like, well, we can't do it. We can't do it at night because we watch the game. I'm like, well, you know what? That's probably pretty fair, Sean. They're only going to be in 5 or 6 of them in the playoffs. You need to get as many of them as possible.
I just hope you realize I will be insufferable for the next 2 months, and I can't wait.
Hope you realize that ship has already sailed and sunk.
I can't. I just.
Okay,
I can't.
yeah. So we need to block this hateful content. Let's take a page out of the CBC. And just whenever we're getting comments that we don't like on our stuff, we need to start blocking them. Okay? We need to just get rid of them entirely. Honestly,
Can I get a beer in here, stat? Right?
I can't believe.
Can I
that they were
shotgun
able to
beer
find
at
that many
8:30 in the
people
morning
who
of
worry such a
opening day round?
figure
Here
out
we
such a
go.
complicated statement with 3 words in it, and they're also Oilers fans. And it's just, I just love how muffled it is because, like I was saying before, none of them have teeth, right? So it's like, what?
Mashup 51. Mashup 51. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. And, I hope Twos brings a bit more of a ground game when it comes to the NHL playoffs than Seattle Kraken and trying to talk over the Edmonton Oilers, because it's going to be a long couple months for them, folks, because we excited on this
I
side.
want to see Marshawn Lynch being part of the owners team that wins the cup. That's what I want.
We will catch up to you next week. Looking forward to it. And, that will actually spell 52 episodes, which will be, that's something to think about. Either way, we'll catch up to you next week, Twos. Until then, good sir.
All right. See you later, buddy.